it's recording. So I think I'll start with this, even though I shouldn't be the chair. I'll just start calling this to order for the Maple Run Policy Subcommittee meeting on January 13th at 1:15 p.m. I put together a little agenda here. It doesn't mean there can't be other things on it. I just tried to do some stuff to organize this today. And I said to Mary Ann, let's, I think she forgot. I don't know what she said. So let's just do quick introductions real quick and then we'll go from there. Do you want to start, Mary?
Yeah, I'm Mary Ann Doobie. I represent Board in Fairfield.
Karen Lenning, I am a St. Albans city resident, and I work as an administrator at the Georgia Elementary and Middle School.
Bill Eckler, I'm a St. Albans town resident. I work for USCIS.
USCIS.
Citizenship and Immigration Services.
Okay, yep.
I used to work right over here.
Right over there until the flood happened.
Fun.
Yeah.
Now I work for my basement.
And Bill Kimball, Superintendent of Schools. Thanks for letting me kind of do the formality of getting everything together. We're recording right now because all our public meetings have to be recorded. That's a Vermont statute. So I just put up a Zoom session and let the owl do its trick and record us. So what I was hoping to do, I put this together, and maybe some of these tasks we don't have to do any of these today, but I mean, some of these I put here, and it feels really weird as the superintendent because I'm used to public meetings being chaired by someone from the board or a member of the community. So I'm just kind of put this together, but at some point, as you'll see down here, I wanted to review what the charge was from the board when they created the subcommittee. And I put some stuff here in a packet, which we can get all this online and get you a place to keep all this electronically. We need a chair for the subcommittee. We need to think up about how we want to review and revise and recommend policies to BSBA. I gave you some pieces from for the school board. I gave you some pieces from the Vermont School Board Association on that. I gave you a spreadsheet that one of the problems in Vermont statutes for open meeting law, they still don't let us work, like you know this, Karen, but I don't know if you knew this, Bill. We can't work with electronic documents. So it's a violation. Yeah, Joanna said maybe she can get on. I can, sorry. Let me send Joanna right now. So I'll show you where everything is online and then give you, where's my calendar here? Sorry, you have to watch me do all this fun administrative work. All right. I'll show you where it's all organized on the website. And then from there, you can see, then I want to talk about how we wanted to review policies. Sound like a okay place to start then? Okay, so what I put in the stack of papers here, which I said I'll make all this electronic, but this is from October 2nd is when the board, these are minutes from there. It's on the first page. It starts at line 62 and goes all the way to the next page. But the motion was basically to establish ad hoc policy committee, 2 board members, 2 community members, and superintendent. need to review, revise, and recommend policies to the board when required, recommended by the administration or requested by the board. So that, I mean, you can see there's some other parts of that, but just about me. So that's kind of what the board said. It's pretty broad in my interpretation of it, but it's just kind of how I've seen most policy committees kind of put together. There's Joanna. Hi, Joanna. I don't know if you can hear us. Hopefully she can. She's probably still getting linked in there. Hopefully you can at least hear us. If not, you're muted.
Yep, I'm good.
Okay, good. Just making sure you had us.
Oh, yeah.
So, Joanna, one of the things is I put this together real briefly, so for you being remote, I'm gonna read the agenda to you because I literally, it should have been posted and just got posted this morning, but I put together all the documents this morning. Aaron's been out for a little way today, so I've been trying to put all this together. So the order was introductions. We just finished looking at the charge of the subcommittee from the October 2nd meeting, from those meeting minutes. We need a chair for the subcommittee, and then start to talk about a process for revising, reviewing policies. We're gonna look at the VSBA model from the Essentials book, and then look at how our policies are organized, and then how do we wanna do this? So that's kind of what today was about.
Okay.
And I said, we don't have Jess today, and I was saying to the group here, like, we don't have to have a chair today, but I think it's always much better when there's a member of the board or a member of the subcommittee chairing the meeting than myself. But I can help put this together for today. And I wanna apologize, we'll talk about it Wednesday at the board meeting, just admitting we didn't get this thing posted in time, but we're recording it on Zoom right now with a Zoom link. So with the owl that you see going.
Okay.
Do you want to introduce yourself real quick? Because we had just gone around the room and finished that right before you jumped on.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Sorry to be late. I apologize. My name is Joanna Droz, and I'm on the school board.
Okay. Maybe just quickly right around the room one time.
Yeah, absolutely. Karen Lenny, St. Albans City.
Bill Eckler, St. Albans Town.
Bill Kimball.
Arian Doobie.
And Jess would be joining us, but she said she couldn't today. Jess Frost. So,
Yep.
we already asked about how to do it. So we looked at we just looked at the minutes, which was basically, it was a really vague charge, which was to develop a committee made of 2 board members, 2 community members, the superintendent, to review, revise, and recommend policies to the board when required. Recommended by the administration or requested by the board. So that's like, you could drive a truck through that. Truck is my editorializing. But that's what we have for a charge. And then what I gave was in the Essentials workbook from the school boards. If you go all the way to page 39, which kind of has these 5 little circles on it right here. It gives you a bunch of history about policy. But I like these seem like the essential functions of why a board does policy. Which is basically for there a way to be something that's more, to give continuity and more establishment than just the people that are working in the system. Having a way to keep people informed through writing about how the policies of the school board are. The 3 for me, this board did some great work 2 years ago on written policies and procedures to clarify the board superintendent relationships. So we have a whole section on that. And then how does that authority and monitoring work? And then written policies and procedures, just the saving of time. It's so much. It always is like a habit for me to have to remind myself when something comes up that might be policy or procedure, like first stop, open up the website, read the policy or procedure that might pertain to it. And I don't, the number of times I have to remind myself that I would think by now I have it down, but I don't. And then really using the policies and procedures as a tool to guide our work. Like, so we don't have to like reinvent the wheel, like this is how we do it. And really trying to be clear about that. I think that provides clarity to everyone involved. So I really like that page 39, like that to me is the why. And then on the next page behind that, on page 40, Karen, you were turning right 40 and 41, but it's really the top of 41. It talks about policy adoption process. So that there's a need for something, either something happens here at St. Albans or there's a state or federal law change. We draft policy based on what the community wants and input from the staff. And then take that to legal counsel to review as necessary. And then bring that back to, I would think it would be this group, but I don't know, this is where I'm saying, like, we've got to talk about how we're working. So I'm just reading out the page, on that page 41. And then bringing that policy for adoption. And then you have to have 10 days warning, publicly warned for a policy to be changed. Then provide time for public comment. And then any procedures to get developed. I kind of truncated it for reading all the steps, but. And in Vermont School Board Association, and Joanna, I don't know if sharing my screen will help you or not, but on the VSBA website, they have a whole sections of required, recommended, and policies to consider. And they show that on page 40 here. They have those kind of like different colored blocks here. And one of the things I talked to Aaron a little bit last week. It's password protected, and I know what they're trying to limit it somewhat. I don't know if they're trying to limit it to people that are working on committees and not the general public, so that you can all see those model policy templates. And when they come through the Vermont School Board Association, they've been reviewed by, especially it has to do with state statute, joint fiscal, which is the attorneys of the legislature, plus the school board's attorney, the Vermont School Board's attorney, not our attorney, but their attorney. And then if it has something to do with operations, there might be the joint fiscal office as well. So let me see if I can share my screen right now, Joanna, with you. Are you on your phone?
I'm on my phone, but I have my computer right here, so I just pulled up the VSBA.
Yeah, you may not be able to get into the model websites. You can at least go over what I just saw. That's all on the public side. I know what my personal account is, but I'm going to ask Aaron to see if we can get you a way that you can look in there at the model policies. So we don't have to keep shipping, like download the PDF, send it to you. You ask for something, go grab it. I mean, why not make you more self-sufficient? Okay. Great, Joanna, I can push you, I'm glad to hear you have your computer, then I can just kind of tell you where we are. When I say the essentials book, you remember all that, right, Joanna? I'm assuming you did. Yeah. So really what I went and got there that I handed out, Joanna, was from page 36 to 42, which is just on how boards adopt policies and policy. I would be shocked if you didn't know all of it, because I just know you've had enough experience working with this stuff, so. It's pretty online.
You said page what again?
36 to 42 in the essentials book. And really the key pages are pages 39 and 41. But those are the pieces that address policy. And the models for how Vermont School Board says school boards should address policy. So to give you some other background, before we go look at our organization policies, sometimes, like just this past year, the legislature will put a new law in, which requires a policy. Or they'll do something with a law or an act that will require a policy to be updated. Or the federal government will do something like that. Or school quality standards, which is regulation, which in Vermont has the same power as law, will affect us to change. So we'll get notice. We had notice this year, actually it's a great example, like we have to record all meetings. We have to have a notice on our website about accessing all the meetings and that where people know where to get them. And it required that we had a procedure. I don't think we had to change anything with policy, but it was up on the website under board operations about how, where do you go grab all having links to all the recorded meetings and all the minutes. So there were some changes to open meeting law that required us to do it. So then we had to go back and adjust policy, which we did last summer. The board made those adjustments. So that's one of the things that can drive it. A second thing is there might be something in the community that's going on that the community might say, hey, we want a policy on, I don't know. The last one of the ones we did that the students brought to us, it was about flag raising and being able to put student sponsored flags on the flagpole. That was 2.5, 3 years ago. So that was the board time. So those are different, and then there might be some policies that we have up there that we don't need anymore. So when Maple Run was formed in 2016, the core of our policies were adopted. So the last thing I gave you is a copy of a spreadsheet, and I would love to give you this electronically. I'm going to show you where it is on the website, and it's organized pretty much the same way. Because we have this link, so every link on here, I can click on it, it goes right to the PDF. Okay? So I'll show you how to do that. But these are all our policies, procedures, and there's a couple of forms in here. Mainly the forms are for use of facility use forms. But you'll see, if you look at the spreadsheet, and Joanna, I'll get you a copy of this spreadsheet.
Yeah, no worries. Don't worry about me. I'll just listen today. Keep going.
Yeah. Well, if you had opened the policy and procedure page, you'd see it pretty much in the same format.
Okay.
So, so what I'll show you that right now since I just mentioned it. If I go to our website, Maple Run, and I'm not sharing this, Joanna, because I know you said you've got your own computer.
Yep.
If I go to parents and community here, you'll see that I have Maple Run policies and procedures. And I just like to go to the policies and procedure page. And you can see how this pretty much looks, except for it doesn't have the dates on it. So you'll see A is board operations, like how does the board, right? Personnel, students, which is where the majority of our policy are, instruction, and then school community relations and non-instructional operations. So you'll see, if you see it without, on the coding, if you just see a letter with a 2-digit number, that's usually the policy. Something with a little p is a procedure. And if it has an F, it's a form. So like the federal procurement form, like that's one we have to have for federal laws. So you'll see different pieces that go together there. We try to use the same numbering system with the P's and the F's after. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then on the spreadsheet that I gave all of you, you'll see our adoption date. So let's say, let's just take A01, which is board member conflict of interest. So you'll see that's a policy. The adoption date, we adopted it in July 20, 2016, which is when we started operations as a board. So that's where you'll see a lot of the dates are. So that's almost 8 years ago, 9 years ago almost. Then you'll see you'll see if there were any updates adopted, and you won't see any under this one. And then you'll see, was there a VSBA update? Which on 8/15/2022 there was. Now, the next column tells us whether it's required, recommended, or not. If it says NA, it just means, hey, it was one that doesn't fall under VSBA. So it might be that when we look at that it was updated on August 15, 2023, we might want to review that because there was an update from VSBA, but our policy is back on, it's 2016. Now, it could be as simple as a legal reference in the bottom footnotes got changed. It could be none of the wording got changed, but it should at least be looked at, in my opinion. If you come down, if I go down further, I'm gonna go all the way down to, yeah.
Can we, 2016, the A21,
Yeah,
if we, as a board, wanted to change, like when the public speaks, is that when we would, is that where we
the
would?
public participation, it's probably more in the procedure, not in the policy. You wanna read the policy. I hope it's so general.
It says recommended.
Yeah, I hope it's so general that all it is, it says public should participate in our board meetings.
Okay.
And then the chair works on how does the organization meeting work, right? To like say, we want the public to speak 3 times instead of at the beginning,
Yeah,
you know?
it's come up a couple of
Right.
times, so we're just.
Right. This is one of those balances of like, how detailed you want the policy versus like a procedure or implementation tool. So if I skip all the way down to B, personnel, B03, alcohol and drug-free workplace. I just wanted to show you kind of the different types here. The policy was adopted in 2016. We updated it on 6/20/2018, but the latest VSBA update is 10/18/2024, and it's a required policy. So I'm just kind of showing you how to read this chart. So I want to give you a few minutes to kind of look down through it. See if there's anything there that kind of stands out to you, because what I want to ask you is, this is the first time a subcommittee sat outside the board to say, so how do we want to review these? And you can see the different large categories of board operations, personnel, students, and so forth. But are there ones that either stick out to you? Do you want to look at them by area, those big areas I just talked about? Do you want to try to say, hey, there's a date, this has been changed. We think this spreadsheet's up to date. Aaron's done a good job of going on the VSBA website and seeing, has there been a change since we adopted it? You know, how do we determine what we want to look at? In order to say, hey, yeah, we think we're up to date or we're not, or we need to do some work. So I asked that as an open question. And you may, like I said, you may want a few minutes just to kind of look at this.
Can I ask a general question?
Yes, please do.
I'm just curious if there are certain things that have come up, either from the community or from the board or from the staff, that has been something that maybe has risen to the surface that would be an important place to start. I only look there because I just saw students' cell phone use, and that is a hot topic right now. I'm just curious if there are things that have been sort of brought to the surface that would be a priority, just as I'm sort of conceptualizing all of the pieces.
So right now, the board is elected for themselves to work on an equity policy,
Okay.
which they want to do as a whole board. They didn't want to give that to the subcommittee.
Okay.
Which they're doing a process. They have an outside consultant working with them. They'll be coming back here in February to get back on that work. Budget kind of got in the way. There are things like, you say cell phone use, but I don't see it as a policy issue. It's more of the
Procedure,
implementation.
yeah.
So, we always seem to try to like ante up again our cell phone, and it's gotten better and better, but it's just also getting everyone on board with those procedures.
Right, no, definitely.
So there's that nuance of is it because of the policy or is it because of how we're trying to implement it?
Right.
Is there something that needs to be changed?
Yep, absolutely. I was just
The
curious.
equity's the biggest one that
Okay,
I've heard from
perfect.
our staff. They made a statement last year, like, we need to hear a position from the board, and that's something that drove that work. There were some things we did this fall for policies I asked the board to do right away, which then created this committee, because it was like, wow, we're getting almost 10 years to reviewing some of these policies.
Right.
It may not be more than just saying, yeah, we're there, we got some few edits, but like that
Yeah.
work needs to happen.
Definitely. No, that makes sense. I think, yeah, I'll be curious to.
And I would ask Joanna and Mary Ann whatever they've heard as well, because I may not be hearing things that they're hearing in the community. As far as policies.
So I've got a question.
Yeah.
Is this subcommittee here, the focus is on policy?
Yeah.
Or are we supposed to dip into the procedure as well? It
The
sounds like procedures.
Procedures is administrative.
Right, okay.
So what happens is, the board adopts a policy. I'll tell on AO2, which is policy adoption, one of the things it says in there, when I change a procedure, I need to let the board know. So I do that in the board meeting, okay? Yeah. If you want to look at any of the procedures we have, I won't say we have, I actually notice we don't have procedures for every policy. And so there may be a place where you look at a procedure like, okay, you haven't even written procedures, maybe you should write some. But that's still the administration's responsibility. This board says we would like to look at them because we're working on this policy, by all means, I mean, that's all open. But I'll take any and all suggestions too.
But personally, how I would approach it, I mean, first it would be if the board has specific items that they think should be addressed, and there's a couple of board members here, I don't know if we have that, probably don't have that info today, but I think that would be, if I was setting this up, that'd be my number one priority, and the second, you can go by these dates, whether a policy is required, has there been a VSP update, when was the last time the Maple Run was done, and you can create a hierarchy there, then again, we can either do that up ourselves, or we can say, hey board, here's what we came up with as group one, these are the oldest, most possibly outdated ones that have updates that are required. Are any of these priority to you, or do you want us just to start going through numbers, 1 to 20 or whatever, and then you get to group two, which maybe is just the still required, but maybe there hasn't been a PSP update, however, it's still 10 years old at this point. Then you move on to category three, you're past required, and now you're on the recommended ones, taking that same type of approach.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, and that's something like Aaron Smith, who works with me, we can easily go through the spreadsheet and do an
Right.
example list.
Couple
I don't need everyone here I'd rather have you reading either models and the policy we have and doing some of that assessment where Aaron or I or someone else can go through and use the spreadsheet and do that type of filter. Because it's not that takes a little bit of time, but and we can bring together all the documents.
I'd like to look at, without knowing anything about it, D1, the policy on graduation requirements.
Yeah.
That hasn't been updated for a while. It's
Yeah.
required, and it's something that I know,
And we're out of date there with
yeah,
what's been there.
it's something to look at.
Yeah.
In my opinion, and along with that is the average classroom size.
Yeah.
We're gonna be looking at that, I think.
You did this past fall. Yeah, and you looked at that and we can bring it.
Did we?
You did, you came up with numbers, but you didn't change the policy at all. The board made their recommendation. But I can bring back those minutes.
So can I just ask a clarifying question?
Yeah.
When we look at, like, if you're on the website, the Maple Run website, and you're looking at the policy procedures, is that where you guys are, or you're looking at all paper? Okay. So
We're looking at a spreadsheet that has the actual dates on it, Joanna.
okay, great. That's what I was wondering. If on the policy page, do you think that we should have dates on it for transparency's sake, and maybe a little, I don't know.
You mean like adoption dates, or? The VSBA's, because sometimes that can change more frequently, but the adoption dates are easy to do.
Yeah, maybe either adoption dates, just to also, keep us aware of, or letting people know that, oh, this is an older policy.
Yeah.
It's not something that's brand new.
Yeah.
I guess just for transparency, like if we're going to have a spreadsheet that has the dates on it, should we not have that visible to the community?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, as I look through this, I also have another thought, and
Yeah.
some of these areas, they're all important, but if we're looking at policy and updating policy, I think in my mind, we want to do what's best for the students, what's best for the education. So some of these things will, in my mind, come ahead of that. Instruction is one of them, students, possibly personnel. I mean, if we start tackling board operations policies first, that's kind of more self-serving than helping the community.
Mm-hmm.
So I think from an optics standpoint, prioritizing a few of those over, non-instructional operations may fall lower than students, for example. And then, so this, the essential work.
Yeah, that's from the Vermont School Board Association. It's a book that's given to everyone as a school board member.
Okay.
On all the work, and so I just copied some of that right out of there.
Right. The policy adoption process does show review and update policy every 3 to 5 years. I noticed there's no review cycle on any of these. Is there really no review cycle?
So there really has not been any review cycle since the merger of Maple Run. So that was one of the reasons in my supporting the board to make a subcommittee is, can we make a cycle? Basically, my experience from having this number of policies with a different board was it was about once every 5 years, make sure there was a cycle. So kind of what you had just said, Bill, about like, hey, let's categorize these, let's make some priorities, and then we can kind of rank them, and I can even color code it so simple in here and say, hey, how about if we did these, and I've done this before, so I'm just taking out my old playbook. The first time we sat, I was in another board that hadn't done it for years. So let's just say these are the ones that are most important. People did big categories as well as kind of what you had recommended earlier, like required, there's been a change. Okay, try chunk it. Does this seem doable? So there's a 5th every year and over 5 years you go through. Joanna.
I hear that and I like that. I'm also just wondering, like, are there ways to fast track some policies that are very similar that just need to be, updated with more model language? Like, I understand that it's important to prioritize and I'm all for that. And I want to make sure that we're not leaving a certain category left behind. So we've left something, far too behind. So if there's ways to kind of fast track some policies that just keep us current, but that everybody would just kind of agree with, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Wouldn't be very controversial.
One of the things I could do is between now and February, Aaron and I could sit, mainly Aaron, I should say, but we can go through the kind of like what's been updated. Let's go through all the required policies and which ones have a new update since it was done. Color code this sheet. Say, okay, if we, like, how many is that? Okay, well that's 22% of the policies. Well, do we want to do those? But we're not touching board operation and community relations. I'm just picking out of the blue.
Mm-hmm.
Are we okay with that, or do we want to take a couple from there that look like they should be looked at? And that's where I want the subcommittee to weigh in. And then literally you could say, well, there's 5 of us. We've got 20. Let's each take 4. Get us the PDFs of what the model is. Get us where we are right now. Each come back the next month, report on like how far out of whack is it? Oh, it's just a footnote. Or, oh, there's some content language in here that makes a different meaning. Let's talk, so quickly you can stack, well, these are all the ones that have some footnote notices and a little bit of wording, but not much. Let's put that together, recommend those to the board. Here's a packet, go. These other ones we gotta talk about. But there's some substantial meaning changes.
Right.
You're kind of where you were, Joanne, but that
Yeah.
first analysis.
Yeah.
And then you could, as a group, make those decisions. Does that sound like a way to attack it? And we have a meeting in February and we get you some of those materials ahead of time just to look at a little bit?
Yep.
For the VSBA
Yeah.
updates, when they make an update, I assume that it's, I'm asking because I don't know, but I assume that it's recorded somewhere and it clearly identifies what's been updated. Is there a?
That's why I want to get you onto the model policy updates. Everything but the history. I will tell you, they don't have like, here was 99, here was 206, here was 213, and now it's here. What they have is from the 213 to 2020, and you can see what happened there. You can't see all that backwards piece.
Bill, could we also categorize as part of, and maybe you already did this, categorize the policies in terms of our 5 goals?
I haven't done that. That's a great question. Yeah.
And I'm not asking you to do that work. I mean, I think that, we can take on some of that too.
Yeah, I think that would be great. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna ask a sort of broad question that you might not be able to answer, but curious about the equity policy and the impact that you think that might have on, are there any policies within this that you think may have, like, may need to have some language shifts or anything in them
I
as a
bet
result
there,
of
I
that?
bet, so from.
I'm just
colleagues-
curious where that timeline, like how
So
that
I
all
think-
shake out.
We're talking to my colleagues in other districts, once the equity policy was established, then it required the equity or the policy committee or board to go through and read their policies with an equity lens.
That's
But you
exactly
gotta
what
have
I was
it's
thinking.
what's the chicken and the egg, and
Yeah.
the egg is the equity policy has to be adopted first.
Mhm.
And then you go with that lens and
Right.
read.
I figured there was a trickle down
Yeah.
effect. What is the timeline, I'm just curious, of the equity policies?
I think we were trying to get something in March
Okay.
to start going forward as a draft.
Okay.
We're working with them for learning.
Oh, yeah,
I
absolutely.
figured you'd know over there.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
We work with them really closely with the schools and the students.
Yeah.
And so the students and they together are helping us lead this work.
Wonderful.
And the students have been our real leaders.
Yeah.
So,
That's fantastic.
a lot of others, but I mean, the students have just been right up front.
Okay. It's just something to kind of tuck in our brain as we're thinking about that there,
Yeah,
what might be the impact and how can we sort of, if the timelines line up, be able to also, apply that equity lens to,
yeah,
these policies to ensure that there's consistency.
yeah. Yeah, and it can be something as, small as, in grain size,
Mhm.
but very important as in the language and the pronoun usage used in the policy.
Absolutely.
So what I'm hearing is that Aaron and I will take on the task to do some quick highlighting of the required across all the areas. And if there's a date that's been updated since we've adopted, we'll give you a summary of how many policies that is. And then try to bring that back in February to take this spreadsheet that we have, we'll color code it in some way so you can see that. Try to get you that a week before we meet. And then that way you can look at the totality of the task on the required and then say which way we want to go. And then we'll have things ready there so that you can divide how you want to divide that up amongst all of you for doing the work.
Sounds good.
Sounds good, okay.
Yeah.
Bill, I'm gonna just ask you a question.
Yeah.
You always volunteer to do so much. Is that a lot on you? Is that anything that we could be helpful with?
I'm gonna be putting it on Aaron, and I think it's like a 2-hour task.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Knowing how he has his spreadsheet set up, I think it's gonna be literally him reading down and saying, okay, color, just highlight the rows yellow, Aaron, where that meets that requirement.
Okay. Thank you.
And the nice thing about the spreadsheet you don't see here, Joanna, but it all has links to the PDF. The long task will be going to VSBA and getting their current version. That's what will take some time. And that's just downloading and putting it somewhere. I wish we could work with a Google folder system for all of us, because then this would be a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, but even the next meeting in February, right? If you just did that first task, then in February we could split it up and go through, you know, and have more of a working meeting.
Right. No, that's what I've always found is policy committee meetings become working meetings.
Okay.
And, okay, so Karen, you had these 3 policies. What'd you find? I found this one that we've got to talk about. Okay, great. Now, how many do we have that we have to talk about after we went around the table? There's 7 of them. Okay, how do we want to program that out for the next 3 meetings? So we all sit here and read those documents and discuss what the changes are.
Yep.
That's one of the things I've always enjoyed about policy committee. It's an hour and it's work. And it's like work, and you come back with it ready to go.
Great.
The one thing we didn't do is having a chair for this subcommittee. Do you want to determine that today, or do you want to wait to get Jess and we find a time? Because what I'd like to do is find a regular standing day time of the month that we meet, so it's just regular in all our calendars. So I don't know.
Work, yeah. Believe it or not, Mondays work fantastic for me. So I work from home on Mondays. So I really, once I have my brain, you know, properly acclimated, I can actually be there.
And I was saying that, you know, I was hoping to have I'd like to have all of us at one time together. Because I find for Zoom meetings, it helps if we're all together like once or twice, and then breaking up into Zoom is fine. So.
I would recommend waiting for Jess.
Waiting for Jess for a chair? Okay. Are people good with that? See if we can get us all into a next meeting together?
Yeah.
I mean,
I would be interested to know if either of the community members were interested in sharing.
Initially, probably not. I'd like to get a little feeling on how the whole group works. So this type of setting is new to me. I've done plenty of policy work in the past, but this is a new area for me, so I would not be the best selection to be the chair. Not initially.
I spend a lot of time in board meetings as part of my job. I think I would be interested in having a discussion about potentially doing that if no one else wanted to do it. I think it will, I'm not opposed to it.
All right, cool, great, thank you.
Listening with that one,
Okay.
so.
Well, let's do this. We can noodle on that till the February.
Yes, absolutely.
And we'll see if we can get us all. Joanna, I hear you saying Mondays. For Karen, I just know you're coming out of school. This is the second Monday of the month.
Yeah, just let me.
At this time.
To the second.
I am being a little selfish and not trying to have another nighttime meeting, so.
Yeah, me too.
Doesn't mean it can't be later in the day, it just, I like to be done by 5 o'clock.
No, I can make.
This work?
Yeah.
How about for you, Bill?
We're just scrolling through my Monday afternoons.
Yeah.
I mean, I could do 2:30 or 3 o'clock, you know, I would also, like Bill, not to do yet another meeting.
Okay, I do have a standing work meeting from 2 to 3 every Monday.
Okay.
I can work pretty much any other time in the afternoon. I can work.
So if we did like a 3:15?
Yeah, 3:15.
How about for you, Karen? So I'm just thinking after school, you might have things.
No, that would be okay.
Okay, so like a 3:15, Mary Ann?
On the second month.
Second Monday of the month?
Second Monday of the month, I'm writing it down.
I do have a 4 o'clock, but I'm gonna see if I can get that moved. That's the my monthly meeting with the association, but I will ask them today.
Oh, is that I mean, do you want to do earlier?
I don't think it's gonna be a problem, I just have to I know Bill said he has a meeting from 2 to 3 usually every Monday. So if we went 3 to 4, I just have to ask him if I can start at 4:15 instead of 4 o'clock.
Okay. Do we want to go earlier in the day, like first thing in the morning? Or is that not good?
That could work for me.
Earlier in the morning is harder, midday would be fine though.
Midday's fine.
So if we wanted to go,
I'm just also thinking of Jess who wasn't here, so I was trying to,
Right.
but the earlier in the morning would work. You said that's hard for you.
as long as it's after like 9:30.
9:30, 10
Just
o'clock.
getting the morning rolling at
Yeah,
school.
at
kind of
school,
thing.
yeah, I understand that. How about for you, Bill?
I do have a standing weekly 10 to 11 a.m.
Okay, so let me see if I can move my association meeting one way or another. All right, so I'll confirm that after somewhere this week. All right?
Yep.
So we're gonna try for 3 to 4, second Monday of the month. I'll check with Jess. If that's not working, we'll work on another. Is there, Karen, just because I'm thinking, I know
Yeah.
school patterns, and I hear you, Joanna, that Mondays are the best. Is there another day of the week that's good for you?
Tuesdays.
Tuesdays?
Mhm.
And how about you, Bill? Yeah,
We're still looking at, say, the second Tuesday?
it could be anywhere. I mean, we're gonna have to go to a kind of a doodle poll situation, so I'm just trying to give an idea of the week. Joanna, I remember that you have clients Tuesdays through Fridays, right? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Tuesday afternoons, starting at about 1 p.m. are
Okay.
generally open for me, but nothing more.
Okay, we're gonna try to stay to Mondays, because I know Joanna has clients, so we'll try to get to that, but let's see what we can do.
Okay.
I'll talk to Jess as well, because I just wanna make this work.
So February 10th.
Yeah, right, I guess that would be the second Monday, I don't have my calendar, say it'd be
I'm
February 10th.
gonna also just throw out, just hearing your 10 to 11, I don't know if like 11:15 on Mondays is also.
I have a
Yeah,
standing meeting,
sorry.
I have a
Sure,
standing
that's the
meeting,
part.
Mondays from 11:15 to 1.
Oh, I missed that part, apologies.
I always have a standing meeting there. Okay. We'll hope that we get February 10th, 3 to 4, I'll ask Jess about that, just so we can get all of us, and if that's the case, I would like that one, again, we're all here, and then from then on, we could probably do Zoom.
Great.
Anything else? What was I missing?
Ooh, I'm gonna probably die here. Hold on a second. I might gotta get plugged in.
No, I said to everyone before you got on that, we forgot to post this meeting until today, so we'll deal with that Wednesday at the board meeting, which is the board recognizes that we missed that.
Okay.
So, alrighty? Thanks all.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Have a good day.